Unfortunately, I see so many students that get out of school that see the flashy price that comes with going to the commercial space. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what they want to do, but they don't even give GA a second chance. They don't even give it a second look because they see the willingness for the airlines to spend huge amounts of money to hire them on. And if GA doesn't get the maintenance up, it'll be one of the factors that leads to GA probably, fizzing out.
You're listening to the WildBlue podcast, where, along with my co-host and good friend Todd Mitton, we shoot the breeze with other aviation professionals, cover topics important to aircraft owners, and just generally have some lighthearted fun with all things aviation. I'm Chris Kirk. And as you may have noticed, we've been on a brief hiatus from the podcast for a very important reason, which we reveal here for the very first time. On January 1st, 2025, we opened WildBlue Aircraft Maintenance, a mobile-based platform, and are serving the greater Kansas City area. In this episode, Ethan Kirk and Riley Diederich join us to discuss our new venture, our philosophies about aircraft maintenance and plans for the future. We hope you enjoy the show and maybe learn something too. If you'd rather see this conversation on video, head over to our YouTube channel at FlyWildBlue. Well, hey, this is Chris Kirk with WildBlue Aircraft Sales, and this is the WildBlue podcast. But we've got kind of a big announcement, which is what this whole episode is about. Not just WildBlue Aircraft Sales anymore. Todd, you want to take it?
Well, that's right, Chris. This is exciting news for our many listeners, and certainly for us. A while back, really going back last year, you and I had talked off and on, and then the talk became more often about the opportunity to start an aircraft maintenance business. And so that's the big let the cat out of the bag thing, but there's a lot to talk about on how we got even to that decision, I think. And we have a couple of young men here with us that can also add to this, because these are the two guys that are doing the heavy lifting for WildBlue Aircraft Maintenance. You and I, Chris, we just like to talk a lot, but that's what we do well, I guess.
Yeah, we're good at that.
We're good at that, yeah. So Ethan Kirk and Riley Diederich are our two current A&P mechanics, young and eager guys that work hard. And Ethan, why don't you tell us a little about yourself first?
So me and Riley both went to school at the Aviation Institute of Maintenance here in Kansas City, and that's where we met. But I had the, earlier opportunity to start working for HED Flight Systems at the downtown airport. It's a local flight school, and absolutely just fell in love with GA. I thought about going to the airlines afterwards, after getting finished with my A&P, but everything about GA is exciting. It's fun, and as I think the hosts of Ask the A&P podcast, sometimes it's kind of like the Wild West, and so it's exciting every day, and I really just fell in love with it and the flying aspect of things. So I've had my A&P for almost a year now, and I've worked for ATD for about 3 years, and I started after getting my airframe license, which I got before my power plant by about 6 months or so, started doing maintenance on the side for GA people on the field, as ATD's contract with Signature prohibits them from being able to do so. So started doing that, and that kind of has slowly developed over the past year into this.
Riley, what about you? Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, my name is Riley, obviously. My love for aviation kind of started with the military. I spent 6 years in the Army Reserve aviation side, so working on Chinooks. Started as a mechanic, ended up kind of moving over to the flight aspect, became a flight engineer over here in New Century, Kansas, and still obviously wrenching, working on the helicopters and whatnot. But came back from a deployment, knew that I loved aviation, but I didn't really know what path to take. So I said, why not transfer my skills that I learned in the military over to the civilian side? So I went to AMP school. That's where I met Ethan. And then right out of school, Ethan, we were chatting back and forth, and he kind of got me hired on at ATD, and we've been working together ever since.
That's nice. We're fortunate to have you guys, because that's what really started this opportunity for Chris and I that he and I have discussed in the past, and it's come to this point. But Chris, why don't you talk a little about what our concept was going back 6-8 months and how it progressed into really the start of this, by the way, for our listeners, was the 1st of January. So WildBlue Aircraft Maintenance has been officially up and running now for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So we started it, like you said, the 1st of January. We've had this vision for quite a while. And then as Ethan got a little more aligned with what he wanted to do professionally and where he wanted to go, then we started kind of thinking about, how can we make this thing work, and how can we take advantage of the fact that, it's hard to find a good mechanic. It's hard to find a mechanic, period, right now. They've got so many guys retiring. So much of the brain trust is just leaving, and they're, it's hard to get anything on a schedule. If you've got an annual or something like that, you gotta work it sometimes a year ahead of time or more. So, and then, where we are, there's a little bit of a void. So we're based at the downtown airport, Kansas City downtown airport. And there's a little bit of a void. There's a couple of folks that do some side maintenance down there, but not a lot. And so we thought, well, let's do this as kind of a mobile platform. Let's do let's do it right though. Let's do a truck where it's completely outfitted with all the right tools and everything, and eventually build this up to where we can have a really good scheduling function. And somebody needs something, whether it's during regular hours or after hours, or maybe it's just routine maintenance, then they can call on us, and we can go and take care of them again in a professional way. So, our guys are trained, they stay in the books, they stay on top of what's going on. And I think what's kind of sets us apart, and this is a little unfortunate, but a lot of these guys that are running around at local airports aren't insured at all. And it's primarily because it's expensive to be insured. But, Todd and I, when we were sitting down with this to begin with, that was one of our big things, is we wanted to make sure that, we're taking care of our clients. And part of that is to have a service that is insured. And then it also takes care of the business. So this is not a, what would you call it? A shade tree mechanic type of operation. Ultimately we envision having multiple of these trucks along with a physical location. But, and then, as we started talking about this with Ethan, and of course he had tons of ideas. And one of his very first ideas was, hey, I got this guy I know at work, Riley, who would be a perfect fit for what we want to do here. So right now we're kind of starting things off slow as we get the processes and everything in place to make sure that we can handle the clientele that we're pretty confident we're going to be able to generate.
I don't think we could do it without 2 guys at this point. The business, it's amazing how quickly things have already started to move. So what do you guys think about that? What have you been doing so far? What has kept you busy? What's coming up aircraft wise? What's your favorite to work on? What's your interests, and why do you like being out in 5 below weather all the time? No, that's Kansas City in the winter. I know that part. But anyway,
I'll let Riley take this one first.
Well, I just say talking to people first off. We're really kind of getting the name out there, but at the same time, kind of leaning into it. But just having conversations with people on the airport, because we see a lot of people coming through our hangar every day. Just kind of telling them what we do, the ultimate plan, and just being hospitable, really. That is the biggest thing. Ethan, he does a lot more of that than me. It's just naturally who he is. He's very good at talking to people. So Yeah.
What
Yeah, I would.
what do you see with the van and that? What, Ethan, you've been really doing a lot of work. You got that thing ready to go. Tell us about the AOG aspect of this. What you envision.
That's actually, been a lot of where this started was, when I started doing this as kind of a side gig almost a year ago, it was a lot of, hey, yeah, I've got a flat tire. I need, an A&P to come out here and jack up my airplane, do a flat tire, or I've got a leaking sump, and it's dribbling all over a tire, and I don't want that tire to go bad. And slowly that progressed, and actually it progressed even before then as just a detailing thing. I did detailing in the automotive world for a little while, and I started doing that in aviation, and then got a couple clients. And actually, one of my favorite clients, it's funny, my wife cuts hair, and she ended up cutting his dad's hair, and they kind of exchanged my contact information, and it's grown into a really good relationship with one of the clients. We ended up doing a full interior in his Lance, and have done a bunch of other work for him. And so it's been a lot of AOG stuff, but also more than anything, it's been a lot of word of mouth. Almost every single client that we've had, if not all, has been recommended either by ATD, Dave Costello, or one of our other clients. Almost 100%, if not 100% of our clientele and our growth has been because of our customers. And not to brag on us too much, but I think that shows the quality that we try to, and the standard that we try to uphold ourselves to, because we wouldn't be getting that referral if we weren't hitting that.
Yeah, I think, and you guys have done a good job with that. Let me kind of go back here a little bit, because normally Todd and I don't like to bring up company names when we're doing a podcast, but we're making an exception here with ATD. And I think it's important to acknowledge that who ATD is and some of the stuff that they've gone through. So if you're from the Kansas City area, you're probably very well aware of them. A really good flight school located at the downtown airport, started by Bill Hayes years ago. He's got two daughters that are running it now, both on the charter and on the flight school sides. And they've really grown and developed the business. In fact, if you go back in our podcast archives and listen to a podcast we did, what's it been, a year ago now, Todd? We had Kira on.
About April of last year.
Yeah, because 2 years ago they had a Gus NATO thing where it just destroyed all but one or two of their airplanes, wasn't it? And so Kira came on a year later to talk about the phenomenal turnaround that they did. And so I just want to, kind of point out ATD, because they've been really good to these guys, and they're a good asset here in Kansas City. So just to give you a little bit of background on who they are, but Ethan, just so people understand where that is, what's their website there?
It should just be ATD Flight Systems.
ATDflightsystems.com.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can go check them out.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things. And then while he's taking a look at that, I'm going to share something on my screen here, I think, because I want everybody to be able to see this. So we are recording this where you can see you can see this podcast on YouTube. And if you decide to do that, then go take a look at what we've got here. I'm going to show a picture of our van here and share that real quick. So this is the van that we've put together. We've got it outfitted in the inside with the tools and the equipment we need. And so it's first rate. Got three pretty decent looking guys, and then a dorky one. But
I thought you were going to say one exceptionally good looking guy. I was going to say, please, Chris, not now.
So, but that's our van that we have, and right now we are serving airports in the greater Kansas City area. And so if you're listening to this and you're in the Kansas City area, our service area is actually pretty easy to define. Get out your VFR sectional map, and we are right now limiting what we do to within the Mode C veil of the Class B airspace. So if your airport or your airplane is within that range, then we do have the capability to travel to see you. And if you have an issue, give us a call and we'll be happy to give you a quote on it. But I just wanted to kind of point that out real quick.
I just think it's such a, I mean, my airplane is based up at Midwest National Air Center, wonderful airport, 5,500 foot long runway, and there's no full-time maintenance up there. And that's just a good example of where we think this is going to be really helpful to local pilots and owners, to include people who are just, have the misfortune of arriving in the area and have a maintenance problem. It happens on the road sometimes. And I think nothing would make me, I guess, feel better about the business than having these guys be able to go out and get someone back in the air again that was stuck, that's from a whole nother state or region. I think that would be a rewarding event for all of us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I know there's been at least, I think, 3 different times where we've had somebody that was either passing through or a flight school that has had issues on the field, whether this was a destination to a further location or they were coming here for flight school activities or whatever else, that we were able to, get them back up in the air so that they could get home. And I know that they were pretty grateful for it. So, and it's a joy being able to see somebody go, I can get home. I don't have to stay in a hotel tonight. This is awesome, So
yeah, that's like the worst feeling as an airplane owner, and you get stuck somewhere. And but here's the thing too, and I want to bring this up because I'm going to show one other thing. But we do have some limitations on what we're able to do right now, and so one of them is weather, and one of it's because it's cold. So we had plans that there was a work order in place to work on a client's airplane today, but it is really, really cold here in Kansas City today. And we have snow. So instead of doing this podcast all at one location, we're all just doing it from home and not able to service those clients today because, you may be stuck on the ground, but the one thing that we're not willing to do is send our folks out and get frostbite or anything else like that. So, you have to understand there are just a few limitations. While I am talking about that real quick, though, I do want to bring up the website. So if you go to flywildblue.com, I'm going to share my screen here again one more time, and I want you to be able to see where the website is. So if you go click on the maintenance tab up here at the top, then you can scroll through and see what the services are that we provide. Here's our phone number, and you can call us or you can click on that and fill out your information and try to get us on or get on your schedule or vice versa, get where you're on our schedule. So anyway, that's flywildblue.com, and then just click on the airplane maintenance thing up there at the top. So we've got a lot of things that we're looking at doing. We've got a lot of things that we're not going to share just yet, but this is a pretty cool opportunity, I think. And I'm going to let Ethan and Riley talk about this because, we definitely see in the not too distant future, the opportunity to hire additional folks that will come on board. And I think, and I'm just going to kind of throw you a little bit of a line here to lead you, but we're really going to be looking for somebody who kind of fits with our culture and what we're trying to do here, and that's really willing to learn and not be stuck in, the way things have always been done or the way that you do them. So Ethan and Riley, can you kind of touch on some of that stuff as to, where you see this going, and where, and in particular, who are the kind of people that we're going to be looking for that you guys see yourselves working with as this grows?
Somebody that's motivated, somebody that is respectful, somebody that articulates well, and somebody that has communicated in that articulation category, good customer skills. We all know somebody that no matter how nice they are, they can't communicate. It's not who they are. And we're looking for somebody that is going to be able to communicate with customers, going to be able to articulate stuff well to customers so it's easy to understand, and not confuse or frustrate the customer. But also somebody that's motivated to work. I mean, we have the work. And unfortunately, like Chris was saying, it's with wind chill today. It was about -5, and later days this week are supposed to get colder than that. So maintenance is going to be kind of held off, but somebody that's ready to work and that cares about airplanes and has a love for GA. Unfortunately, I see so many students that get out of school that see the flashy price that comes with going to the commercial space. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what they want to do, but they don't even give GA a second chance. They don't even give it a second look because they see the willingness for the airlines to spend huge amounts of money to hire them on. And if GA doesn't get the maintenance up, it'll be one of the factors that leads to GA probably, fizzing out. And so we're trying to change that and add a fresh look, but a safe look into GA maintenance and a consistent look into GA maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you said is true, Ethan. I mean, I also just think, someone who's personable, that's what we're looking for. Someone who has a lot of attention to detail. And yeah, someone who's not afraid to admit that they're wrong. That's a big thing that I've learned working at ATD. Ethan's got more experience than me in the GA field. Every day I'm asking him a question, if I'm unsure about something, and he'll tell you that I'm the first to admit, like, hey, I did this wrong, or yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like Chris, you touched on earlier, where I see this thing going, I would love to have a set location in the future. Heated hangar, yeah. So we're not freezing our hands off. But yeah.
No, I see the opportunity is there for that kind of a thing, and in the meantime, the work is coming at us faster than I would have ever envisioned. It's just there's such a need, and you talk about mechanic. So many of these guys, and Chris, you touched on it. Guys are just aging out. They don't communicate the best. They can be condescending, whatever it could be. But now there's a lot of great guys out there too. But there is definitely room for some new blood and new enthusiasm, and like also flexibility, which I certainly don't have. I don't. So I watch these guys crawl in, under, and around airplanes, and I'm like, I can barely bend down and tie my shoes.
And I think that's a good point, Todd, as you talk about, the people leaving GA, especially, and the outflow of A&P mechanics. Unfortunately, as of right now, the inflow of new mechanics is nowhere near the amount of leaving mechanics at the current moment. And it's the airlines are kind of in a scary spot with it. The regionals are kind of in a scary spot with it. Charter is, GA is. And so, if you've got anybody that I came from the automotive world, and I love the automotive world, but I will tell you, I don't miss beating a rusty ball joint apart, being in the rust belt. I don't miss that at all. I don't miss land underneath cars. I don't miss pretty much any of the automotive side of things. And so if you have somebody that has a good mechanical aptitude and, is willing to learn and, maybe has some desire to learn more about aviation, you might want to pitch to them and just say, hey, this might be a good career path for you. It's certainly been rewarding for Riley and I. And I have just loved every minute of it. I really have.
Chris, I think also one of the directions that you're very passionate about is increasing the technological sort of how do I want to say it? Make this modernized things. People are used to using their phones for a lot of what they do anymore, texting certainly versus calling and things like that. Do you want to talk about any future thoughts or ideas in that regard?
Well, there's a ton of room to grow and to improve on this. I mean, we've already put into place, and I'm not going to mention the names of it, but we've already put into place a couple of for what is right now, I think would be considered state-of-the-art software packages to track our maintenance, to do all that kind of stuff. But we've been in this for no longer we've been in it. We have noticed some severe limitations with those products, and they are about as good as is available right now. And so I think that there's a lot of room to simplify. People like to overcomplicate, and I think there's a ton of room to simplify to where it's easier for the owner to track their own maintenance, to maintain their logs. I think there's a lot of room for simplification of how it's easier for the mechanic to do his or her job and get stuff done easily and quickly and correctly the first time. And, they don't have to, they don't have to get onto a desktop or a laptop even. It'll all be mobile based. I just think there's a tremendous amount of room for innovation and growth in those areas that'll ultimately make, let's face it, we've got a shortage of mechanics, and having mechanics out there that are doing administrative jobs is a waste. And so if we're going to get more done with fewer mechanics, then we've got to make some of these other processes so much easier for them so they can get out there and do what they want to do, which is largely turn wrenches and work on airplanes and do the stuff that they were trained to do, not sit there and become a tech expert or an IT expert on some product that is kind of shoehorned in to make it fit sort of, but not really well. So we've got a lot of things I think that are pretty cool. One of the other things that, I wanted to touch on real quick is that as Todd and I are both long-term and multiple aircraft owners, we have that perspective coming into this, in that one of the things that he and I have both seen over the years is planes coming out of shops that are not really taken care of while they're in the shop. You take your nice car, your Mercedes or your BMW or your Cadillac or wherever to a dealership, and it comes out of there, and it comes out generally clean. They've had stuff protecting your floors. They're not ripping your seats. They're not scratching your paint. But for some reason, all of that stuff is like, well, that's just the way it is in aviation. And I beg to differ. You guys all know how anal retentive I am with my airplane, but I think a lot of owners are that way. And a lot of owners want to, they've got a lot of pride in ownership. And so we've put some processes into place, some things that we will do or that we won't do with an airplane, because we want to make sure that, our clients' planes are being taken care of. We don't want them to turn around and find a dent or a ding or a scratch just because of our own carelessness. And so, we've got a client care and an appearance policy that we adhere to when we go and take care of their airplane. It's not only the way that we look, we come to you and we're going to look a certain way. You notice that we've all got our WildBlue maintenance shirts on here. So you're going to recognize us, but it's also the way that we're taking care of your airplane. And, so that you can rest assured that, hey, these guys are, they get it from an owner's perspective. It's just not the mechanic's perspective, because my hope is that these two guys on the other side of the screen here will, in the not too distant future, become aircraft owners themselves. And there's no better way to get both perspectives than to do that. So anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's so much more. I think everybody's very excited. We got a lot of stuff that we've got going on. Man, it's so cool. I know Todd and I are kind of having the time of our lives working with these guys, and we really are trying to build a really strong culture here. And we had a really fun night out with everybody and their families the other night, just to kind of get everybody on board with what's going on. And so a lot more of that kind of stuff to look forward to. But anybody have any final thoughts before His Highness over there closes us out?
I mean, I hardly up for Please don't call me, my old joke. Anyway, no, I was going to ask you guys real quick though. What's the next couple airplane? Where do you think we're doing next? We have pre-buys, annuals coming up. What's coming up? Without naming end numbers, anything like that.
We've got a couple gammy injector swaps on some PA-32s coming up. Turbo Saratoga, and then a naturally aspirated Saratoga, and some continuations of some items found on a pre-buy recently that were just kind of as parts come in and as the owner flies the new owner flies the airplane, we're just kind of mainly cosmetic stuff, but he wants them done and I don't blame him, so we're kind of just slowly going through those things. And then there's a couple bigger fish, I guess you could say, on the horizon, but don't want to jinx ourselves with some of those. So,
Riley, what else?
Oh, I think you touched on most of it. I know we have a few other sort of troubleshooting items up ahead. Combustion heater producing smoke in the cabin on an Aerostar, and then some more electrical troubleshooting on an RV6. So, yeah.
Yeah, see, it's a gamut of airplanes from an RV6 to an Aerostar right there. I know you guys have a lot of experience on Piper, Cessnas. It's we can handle a lot of stuff. I also would be remiss not to say that WildBlue Aircraft sales, just because this is WildBlue Aircraft Maintenance doesn't mean WildBlue Aircraft Sales isn't plugging along. So you got any good ones coming up, Chris? Anything worth mentioning?
Well, we've got a really nice 2001 Saratoga 2TC out there right now. And so we'll have some more stuff coming up on the horizon in the not too distant future, but always check back. I do want to touch on one quick thing, and I'll go ahead and close this out if you don't mind, Todd. But Riley, I want to point out something about Riley. So Riley, with his military background, it's pretty cool because he's got some real recent military experience. I mean, it's right now, and he's bringing in a lot of good perspective on some things that they do in the maintenance world in the military. A lot of it as far as inventory tracking and processes, and how we do different things. And so I think that's really cool that we've got a lot of different kind of perspectives on how some of this stuff works. But in any case, I don't want to steal your thunder, Todd. Shoot, I just pulled like the carpet underneath you, So.
I've got nothing else to say. You know the number, 816-479-2723. And aircraft sales, aircraft maintenance, we're in both arenas now. It's exciting times, and we would love to hear from you. We do want to we do want to have the opportunity to prove this new aspect of the business. I think you're going to like these guys.
I agree. So, guys, thank you for doing this. Yeah, I'm glad we did it. And so make sure you check into our podcasts periodically. Make sure you rate us if you would. Give us a good 5-star rating, and share them. Tell your other friends about them. I got a call from a guy the other day that he said he was going through all of them. I thought that was great. So hopefully you're learning a little bit, and you can teach us something too. So
I like
in any case, like Todd said, he gave you the phone number.
The YouTube aspect of this is fantastic. We really haven't done that before.
Yeah. So that's going to be the new thing. We'll make sure we're on YouTube on all of these as well, and so that way, if you get tired of looking at our ugly mugs, well, you can just shut us off and just listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the WildBlue podcast. If you have an idea for a future episode, please drop us a line at planes@flywildblue.com. If you have questions about buying or selling an airplane, we'd love to hear from you. Our number is 888-773-4249. And please remember to subscribe to the podcast and to share it with others.